Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So I need someone to constantly remind me to never purchase Hornady brass. I just don't have luck purchasing Hornady brass, and I know better. I've talked about this before. For some reason, me and Hornady brass, now they're bullets, you know, they're die sets, they're reloading equipment, no issues with that. But they're brass for whatever reason. I don't know if I'm just unlucky. Maybe it's me, right? Hey, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me, or whatever that song is. I don't know. But I purchased, this was a long time ago, I mentioned this on a video, I had purchased some, I believe it was 270 Winchester. And in one of these packages, right, their 50 count package. And I believe I had like a split case or something like that. It was something along those lines. I had some issues with the brass, and they only come in packages of 50. I've mentioned this multiple times. You go buy a bag of Starline brass, you get, if it's a bag of 100, you get 101 pieces. If it's a bag of 50, you get 51 pieces. That I have purchased thousands of pieces of Starline brass from the time I've started reloading up until this point. And that is how it's always been, okay? And on top of that, I have never had a split neck, a split case. There have been zero issues with all of the Starline brass that I have ever purchased. So I just don't, maybe it's me, but I was in Cabela's, and this is not old stuff. This is stuff that was not there a week ago, and they restocked the shelf, and they had a few boxes of this stuff sitting on the shelf. This is the first time I've seen brass other than like 6.5 PRC and that type of stuff. This is the first time I've seen 243 Winchester brass on the shelf at my local Cabela's. So I know this stuff is not something that sat in a warehouse for Lord knows how many years. I'm sure this is new production stuff. And they did it again. They did it again. So you get 50 pieces with this stuff. Here's my loading block. It's got 50 holes in it, 50 spots for 50 pieces of brass. You'll notice 2 are missing. Those 2 are right here. They did it to me again. Now, one of these pieces, let me see. Now this one, it's not, I think I'm still gonna use it, okay? But there is it's kind of like a scratch, I guess you'll say. Now it is in a bad spot. It is on the neck, basically where the neck and the shoulder meet. Now it is not, it's kind of like a scratch, I guess you'll say. It is not a split, okay? It's not a split neck. I've checked. There's no light coming through, no nothing. There is, it's superficial. But, you know, there's not a lot of thickness there. That could turn into a split neck very easily. So that's one, I don't know, I'm still kind of debating whether or not I'm actually going to load this one or not. It's a scratch right there. I can't really get the camera to focus on it really well, but you can kind of see it right there at my thumb. It's not just superficial. I mean, there is a little bit of depth to it. My thumbnail does catch on it when I run it over it. So that's frustrating, right? And then you come to this guy. And that is a split neck and brand new brass. So lovely. And now what I did was I ran all of these up into my 243 Winchester die just to run them up over the expander ball, uniform those case mouths, and you know, and this was the very first piece I ran right? This was sitting here in spot number 1, ran it up in there, pulled it down. I was just inspecting everything, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. They did it to me again. So I wish I would learn my lesson, because this stuff is not cheap, right? No matter where you buy it these days, this stuff is not cheap. And to do this, and this is on more than one occasion, like, they're not as bad as Remington. You guys have seen some, kind of heard some of my rants on Remington and the amount of split necks I've found with, you know, Remington factory ammo and all that stuff. But it's not to that level, but it's extremely frustrating to buy a 50 count bag. And even if I decide to load this one, right, 49 pieces. When you pay for 50, and they charge you for 50, right? Not like Starline where they charge you, they charge you and then you get the one additional. That would be different here, right? If I had 51 pieces and I could just toss this one, I wouldn't even make a video about it. I might mention it in passing, but this video is dedicated to the fact that, yet again, it's extremely frustrating. I don't know, product development wise, you guys are knocking it out of the park. Like, I don't think there's another company today that is doing what Hornady is doing on the sort of the mass market level with product development. Those guys, they have caught on to something, and they are just hair on fire, and they are making it happen in terms of development, cartridge development, design, all that. That's great. That's awesome. But this is just, man, that'll really get you fired up, right? Especially when you spend your money, and it's not like, you know, hey, I'm going to go buy this 50-piece bag, and in my mind, I'm just going to be like, it's cool. If I don't get 50 good pieces, I'm fine with that. No, I'm not fine with that, right? Because what you need to do is change that to 49 count. 49 count, right? Because that's what's usable out of this bag, possibly 48, depending on the severity of the depth of that one piece. Very frustrating. So if y'all want to share this video, if you know anyone that works there, if you want to pass this information along, by all means, be my guest. And I get it, right? You can't catch them all. I hear you. But it seems like I catch them all, because I don't buy a ton of this stuff. That's the other thing. I don't buy Hornady brass. Like, I don't go out. That's not my preferred brass brand that I purchase all the time. So it's not like I've bought, you know, 10,000 pieces of Hornady brass over the lifetime of my reloading career, hobby, whatever you want to call it. And I just so happen to get a few split necks here and there, a couple split cases. Okay, it is what it is. It's manufacturing. I got it. I work in manufacturing. I'm a manufacturing engineer. I got it. But, man, the level of issues that I have found in relation to the amount of brass I've purchased, that's unacceptable, in my opinion. That is unacceptable. So, yeah, whatever. Rant over. Now, moving on. So the plan is I'll be loading, I don't know. I'm still up in the air on this, whether or not I load 48 or 49. So we're just going to pull that one out. So we're going to start with 48 pieces. We may just roll with 48. I don't know if I want to run the risk of turning that into a split neck. So we're going to reset. Everything's going to be okay. So what we're going to do, I did pick up a couple boxes of these. This is not what we're going to be running in this video. These guys, this is what we're focused on. The 95 grain nozzler ballistic tip and Vihtavuori N560 powders. So that is what, that's going to be the combination. So this stuff, again, is brand new, just pulled it out of the box. I was going through my normal new brass process, which for me, I will uniform the primer pockets with a Redding uniformer. So I will cut all the primer pockets to a uniform depth. If any material needs to be removed, right, it's got a stop in there. So a built-in stop on the cutter head. So I do that. And then from there, I will uniform the flash holes, or I'll deburr the flash holes. I do that as well with another Redding hand tool. And then after that, that's when I then transition over, run everything up into a die with an expander ball to uniform, you know, the case mounts, get everything, you know, as concentric as possible, given the tolerances and the slop and all that different stuff, and the expander ball and the brass, because it's not necessarily uniform thickness on all sides, right? It is what it is. We're not turning the necks. That's not what we're doing here. So making it as consistent as my process will make it, right? That's really the point, the main takeaway. That's what you should be striving for, to try to make it as consistent as you could possibly make it, right? Not go out and buy thousands of dollars worth of equipment to try to reach a certain level of consistency. Just if you've got a standard setup, just do everything the same every time and try to be as consistent as possible. That should be your aim. So that's what I do. And then from there, I will run everything over here on my brass prep station, chamfer, deburr, the case mouse, you know, run a brush through it. Even though these are brand new cases, I do that every time. Again, I try to repeat my process the same every single time. Now, I won't clean the primer pockets because they're brand new and they are not dirty. So, and then from there, I will be running these with the CCI 250 large rifle Magnum primers. So that's, you know, I just don't have a ton of large rifle primers sitting around at this point, right? Just like everybody else. So I'm just going to run what I got, which is the Magnum. So we'll use that. And yeah, let's see, from here, I'll go prime the cases. After I process them here, I'll go prime the cases, dump some charge weights, seat some bullets, and I'll see you guys at the range. So hang tight. All right, so we're out here at the range. I am the only person out here right now, which is nice. But what I'm testing today is, well, I'm shooting the 30 TC also, but I'm just shooting the factory ammo that I've got for it, just to see how well it groups. I've already burned through quite a bit of that stuff. I think I've got maybe 25 rounds left of the initial 100 that I purchased. So I'm down to the last 25. I did set aside a few for hunting season. I think I set aside like 5. I'm just wanting to shoot a few more rounds through it. I need to burn through the rest of it. I am going to pull apart, I think I'm going to pull apart 5 of them just to check the powder weight, the charge weight that they used. This is the 165 grain SST in the 30 TC, the factory ammo. And it's the Superformance box. So it's some type of, from what I could read about and find out, it's some type of early iteration of the Superformance powder. So I'm not necessarily sure if it's the exact same stuff they sell today. I do want to pull it apart and just check it out. So I'm shooting that stuff today. And then I'm also testing the Vihtavuori N560 powder in 243 Winchester and also 270 Winchester. So what I've loaded up is some 130 grain Hornady SST and 140 grain Hornady SST in the 270 Winchester, using the exact same charge weights. I only loaded up 15 per bullet, so it's just 3 5-shot groups. It's 55 grains, 55.5 grains, and then 56 grains. That's what I'm testing in 270. And then in 243, I think I stop at like 44.2 grains. But anyway, I loaded up 25 of those. That's with the Nosler, the 95 grain ballistic tip. So the highest charge weight I'm testing for that is 44.2, and then you just back off in 3/10 and you'll get the rest of them. I think it's whatever, 43.9, 43.6, 43.3, and then 43, I believe, is what I'm testing today. So just wanting to see how they group, and I'm shooting 1 shot per charge weight. So I'm kind of doing it that way, where I'll shoot, you know, for the 243, I'll shoot 1 of each at a different dot, and then I'll come back and then I'll shoot the second row of each, you know what I'm saying, kind of going that way, not shooting all of one charge weight, you know, a 5-shot group, and then coming back and shooting the next charge weight and that type of stuff, more round robin style. Doing that on the 270 also. I've already shot a couple of rounds just to make sure I'm hitting similar point of aim, point of impact, like I've been with the other loads that I've already worked up in each of these rifles. So yeah. Oh me. Let's do a little shooting. So this is the 30 TC. It's a Thompson Center Icon. It's a really sweet rifle. It's got a Leupold, I think it's the VX Freedom 3-9 by 50. 3-9 by 50 with the fire dot. So this has the illuminated fire dot in the center. 2 thumbs up on this scope. It's really nice. And it is I believe it's a 30 mil tube also. So it's a departure from the 1-inch tube that Leupold produces so much of. All right, so this is just some factory ammo stuff. Let's see. I've got one in there right now. I've already shot 2. This magazine holds 3. I've already shot 2. I'll go ahead and shoot these other 3 to knock out a 5-shot group. And yeah, it's not grouping great, and it wasn't necessarily grouping awesome with the rest of this stuff either. I mean, it was adequate. It was definitely good enough to hunt with, good enough to get the job done. My velocities are somewhere around 28, 25, which is really good with a 165 grain bullet. If you translate that to a 308, you know, that's moving on pretty good. So really good velocities with the factory stuff. And that I did measure that with a magneto speed sporter chronograph in this rifle. So really good stuff. Yeah, it seems like it's shifted. My zero has shifted slightly to the right. I'm not putting a ton of stock into that. I did have this rifle pretty well zeroed, but I have seen some variation in the factory ammo. It's all the same lot number, 5 boxes of the same lot number, but I have seen differences in terms of point of impact, slight differences in velocity, nothing major, nothing crazy. So not saying that the scope, you know, that it won't hold zero or anything like that. Nothing to that effect. But I have, in this particular setup, I thought I had the rifle pretty well zeroed with this ammunition, but it doesn't appear to be the case. And you can tell the wind's picking up. Let's send another one. Okay, yeah, you guys should be able to see me pretty well. Okay, I was just double checking. barrel is starting to warm up just a little bit. Nothing crazy. I typically try to wait, 5 minutes in between each shot, especially, not necessarily with this rifle, but especially on the Tikka T3X light, the 270 Winchester, and the Remington 700 CDL in 243. I mean, even this rifle, I mean, they have fairly thin barrel profiles, and so they typically heat up rather quickly. The Tikka and the Remington heat up a little bit faster than this one does. This one can handle, somewhat of a higher rate of fire, but again, I just try to wait roughly 5 minutes in between each shot, which makes for a long range day, especially if I have a lot of stuff I'm trying to test. So that's why oftentimes I'll run out of time. I don't like to rush my testing. I don't like to rush, my shooting. I don't want to heat the barrel up too much in between each shot. I try to eliminate that type of variable as much as possible. But some cases you got to do what you got to do. If I'm gathering velocity data, it's not as big of a deal. I do go a little bit faster when I'm just trying to gather velocity data, but if I'm trying to shoot groups, I generally take my time. So I'm shooting this a little bit quicker just for the simple fact that I'm videoing it, and I don't think you guys want to sit here and just wait 5 minutes in between each shot and just kind of listen to me ramble. I do enough of that as it is. So I'll go ahead and finish out this 5-shot group. So even though I was hitting to the right, 4 of the shots grouped pretty well, pretty tightly to the right. So my first shot was to the right, and then my second shot, I'll walk you guys down there and show you here in a second. Second shot was more in line in terms of horizontal with my point of aim, so it was more in line with my point of aim. It was just slightly high, which is where I have this zeroed to begin with. I've got it zeroed just a touch high. But so that was shot 1 went to the right, shot 2 was more back in line with where I thought I had it zeroed, and then shots 3, 4, and 5 were out to the right, and those 4 grouped pretty tightly, so not bad. But that group is a couple of inches to the right, so that's what I'm saying. It's not like it's, a quarter inch to the right, and it's like, oh man, I thought I had it zeroed. No, it's like 2 inches to the right, so that's why it's a little surprising. But yeah, see if we can get this thing to focus here. This is a really sweet setup. This is just a really sweet rifle in general. All right, now we're switching over to the Tikka with the laminate stock. Now this is what I took into the woods the very first hunt of the gun opener up in Kentucky. So it's a Tikka T3X light, stainless with the laminated stock. It's a really sweet rifle. Shoots very well. I had the T3X super light in 270 Winchester. That was the first 270 I ever owned, and then it's just gone downhill from there. I'm a fanboy now for 270. It's a great round. But all right, let's shoot this guy. What I'll do is I will shoot the third So this is the third group for the 130 that I'm going to shoot, and then I'll shoot one of the rounds for the 243, and then I'll walk you down to the target, just kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. Still got a ton of stuff to shoot, but I just want to kind of end the video there. That'll be the range footage, and then we'll circle back to the house and kind of look at the results after the fact. But wanted to bring you guys along on the range footage portion. And this has a Conus. This is a Conus Pro LZ30 scope. I did a video on this back when I sent a scope off for warranty repair for those guys, and they just sent me, they didn't send me the same scope that I had sent off. They couldn't fix it, and then I don't think the one that I had is discontinued. They don't make that model anymore. So they sent me the Conus Pro LZ30 as a replacement, and this one is a 2.5 to 10 power scope, and it's got a 50mm objective. I really like it. I have nothing bad to say about it. The crosshair is a little bit thicker than what I would like. That's really the only bad thing I have to say about it. Glass is extremely clear and crisp and bright. Image quality is really good. It's illuminated reticle. You really, in my opinion, you can't go wrong with it. It's a good scope for the money. And then of course we got the Remington 700, the CDL. And this is the one I've got it topped with the it's the Leupold VX3 HD. This is the 2.5 to 8 power scope, and it's got a 36mm objective. I actually need to adjust my zero on my scope. I really need to come down a little bit, but to do that I have to take off the CDS, what is it, the CDS turret cap or whatever. I actually have to go in and kind of make an adjustment to allow me to turn the scope down, because right now all I can do is adjust up, which I don't need to do. I need to come down. So, but that'll be another problem for another day. This has an internal mag, but it also has a hinged floor plate, so you can unload it that way. Just overall really nice. This is the post bankruptcy model. You guys have seen several videos on this particular rifle. I mean I don't have enough good things to say about it. It just, yeah, if you're on the fence about buying one, I would say don't be. So far the ones that I've handled in the store have all been, the quality has all been spot on. This one has shot really, really well. Yeah, I mean, I know people are hating on the butt pad back here, which is understandable. I mean, 243, you definitely don't need something like that. And it does look a little goofy, I got it. But in terms of the overall fit and finish of the gun itself, yeah, I would not hesitate to go. I would really like to have one in 25-06. I think that would be sweet. A CDL in 25-06, that would be really nice. But alrighty. And I'm checking for pressure as I go. But I don't think Let me try to get this thing out of my tripod set up here without stopping the film. So here's my 270 rounds. So I've shot 3 of the 130s, and then I'll move right into the 140s. It is the exact same charge weight. I just want to see how these things shoot. I mean, there's only 10 grain difference. They're loaded to the same overall length, which is 3.250 inches. That puts me right at the base of the cantilever on the 130 and the 140. It puts me in the same spot. Here are the 270 Winchester. So I'll move it up in charge weight, and again, checking for pressure. These are some really sweet rounds. I loaded these 20 thousandths longer than the manual. I think in Nosler's manual, they call out 2.680. I just loaded them at 2.7. Same thing for these. These are loaded longer than the manual calls out. I think it's like 3.210, but yeah, went a little bit longer. I wanted it at the base of the cantilever. You go to 3.21, you're like down. There's barely any cantilever left showing. Here's the factory stuff on the 30TC. It's a SST bullet. I'm a big fan of that bullet, so. All right, let's take a walk. Get down here to my target that's got like 100 dots on it. All I did was add some cardboard on top of cardboard, throw a few more dots on it for this range trip. I don't have a ton of time, but again, I'm not gonna rush it when I'm, shooting, mostly checking accuracy and performance of a load, testing that out. My goal is to at least get in 3 shots with each charge weight, right? So that way it can kind of start to give me an idea of the accuracy potential of that bullet powder combination in these guns. So this is what I was talking about on the 30TC. So that was my point of aim. Yeah, you're talking 2 inches to the right, roughly, give or take. But yeah, I mean, that was my point of aim. I've already got it hitting about 1 inch high. That was where I have it zeroed. Traditionally, that's just kind of where I zero everything, about 1 inch high at 100. So yeah, you can see those 4. They didn't group too badly, but then that was my second shot. So first, second, and then third, fourth, fifth. Not bad, just a lot further to the right than I had it set up initially. So here's my 270. This is where it's hitting. So point of aim, point of aim, point of aim. See, we're hitting again, which I keep everything, like I said, about 1 inch, 1.5 inches high at 100 anyway, so I knew it was going to be hitting high to begin with. 243 Winchester, so this was the first charge. So that was 43 grains. I was high and to the right. 43.3, 43.6. So I'm coming back, and the reason I did that, I didn't necessarily know exactly where it was going to hit. I knew I was going to be hitting high, which is why I wanted to start at the very bottom dots, just in case. I didn't want to start up here and be shooting off the target, So that's why I started bottom left. And so I'll go bottom left, and then I'll work my way back to the right. So that'll be first, second, third, and then I'll do fourth, fifth, because I've only got 5. So there we go. Well, that's it for now from the range. No one's here. It's gun season. It came in this past weekend. Today's Monday. So gun season in the state of Alabama, I mean, it opened up for the whole state. It had already been in effect in Zone D, I believe it is. It had already opened up, but in terms of the entire state now, gun season is open, so that's probably why not as many folks out at the range. It's Thanksgiving week, so if you're taking off work, you're probably hitting the deer woods. Good luck to everybody that is, by the way. But that's it. Just stay tuned for the results. I'll get this stuff shot, head back to the house, and go from there. So y'all hang tight. All right, we're gonna put a bow on this video. This is the end of it. 243. not worth jack on the 95 grain nozzler ballistic tips with Vihtavuori N560. I may back it down because I am sort of toward the top end of the range in terms of charge weight. So I may back it down a little bit, see if we can find some accuracy, you know, maybe at a little bit lower velocity level with those. I'm not gonna spend a ton of time there. I mean, I've got a mountain of other 6mm bullets I can move on to and test with. But I do want to find a good load with that 95 grain. What are you doing? That's a new addition to the family. Yeah, he's a pretty cool dog. For the 270, this was the 130 down here. So again, everything's hitting high. 55 grains, 55 and a half, and then 56. These are 5-shot groups. The 130s didn't shoot really good at all. The 140s shot marginally better. Group size, if you go and measure it, the 140s definitely shot better. In terms of just how the groups look, not that great. But again, we're jumping half grains and we're only shooting, you know, 3 5-shot groups. So really need to explore that a little bit more, maybe with the 140s up here. I do like the way that looked just a little bit better than the 130s. So that's it. You know, main takeaway from there is probably going to explore some more with Vihtavuori N560 and the 140s. Those are the SSTs, and just see how well they shoot. See if we can really dial in a load. I've got like, I think 20 more pieces of brass that have already been processed, so I could explore this some more, do 4 more 5-shot groups, you know, at varying charge weights, maybe go a little bit lower, because again, I think looking at the load data, because there wasn't load data for the 130 SST or 130 or 140 SST and N565, so I was kind of having to make do with other bullets in the same weight class and sort of use that data. So I might could go a little bit lower on charge weight again. Similar situation to 243 over here. Maybe find something a little more accurate of a load down just below where I'm testing, because I believe I'm testing more on the top end of what I would shoot. So, all right. That's it. That's where we're going to leave it. Hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we will catch y'all next time. Maybe the next video that gets posted after this one might be a deer on the ground. Who knows? Hopefully that'll happen soon. So y'all have a good one. We'll catch you next time.